Happy Monday, plant people. Now, don't freak out, but we're gonna cut the mama, and I'm gonna do it with you here. Gonna sterilize my knife. And obviously we're gonna try and do as little damage to the farina as possible. But there probably will be damage. It's fine. It is just the beginning of spring, so this is the perfect time to do this. And I'm probably going to be beheading a bunch of plants around here. Now, there's a couple ways I could go about doing this, but scoping this out, my plan is to hold it on the stem, which you can see is decently exposed now, and then cut it from the other side so I don't damage any of the existing stem babies. But that could go terribly wrong, so we'll just kind of have to see. I do anticipate that pretty much all of the lower leaves are gonna have farina marring, but that's honestly not that important at this stage. The cutting will probably use up a lot of those leaves growing roots anyways, so there's no reason to get too bent out of shape about how they look exactly. So I am gonna come in here and hold her by the stem. And I already kind of tested this out last week. I know that she comes right out. Here are the babies. I'm gonna kind of rotate it and lay it on the side. This is the side I want to cut from. This is actually great because I can see that the stem babies are really low down. And because the mama is so top heavy, I want to cut the stem like kind of long. So I'm thinking I want to cut like kind of here-ish, but just feeling that that's super woody. So we'll try it. It might be a disaster, but this is what learning about plants looks like. I'm gonna come in here. My knife is sharp. It does feel really woody. Look away if you're squeamish. Ooh, it's really woody. I'm going for it anyways. I don't know. Oh. I just hit the stem baby a little. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Try not to cut myself, because who wants to go to the ER right now? Ooh, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that happen. I think I'm going to have to cut it higher up where it's less wooden. Oh my god, scary face. I agree. Let me zoom in so you guys can learn from me a little bit better here. There. It's okay. It's okay. Whatever happens will happen. Oh, it's so hard, guys. I don't know. It's like wood. Okay. New plan. New plan is cut high and away. I mean, it's just like it's crazy stiff in there. You know what? I'm gonna get a better tool and we'll use that. Let me go get the like tree cutters. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, here we are with some reinforcements here. And if you don't yet own a pair of outdoor gardening shears, at some point you'll find a use for them, I promise you. Just like last time, I'm gonna work to sterilize a little. This is not actually sterilizing, but I'm just rubbing some alcohol on all the bits. Yeah, no, this is hardcore. It's scary, but you know, like, just whatever happens, the plants, they want to survive. They'll fight to survive. And if you're helping them on top of that, you have a decent idea of what you're doing, there's really no reason to have an anxiety attack here. Thank you. Okay, so here are my choppies. Take 2. Or 3, depending on how you want to count this. Okay. I'm coming back out. And I did water this just maybe 2 or 3 days ago. So we are very moist and plump. She usually honestly makes this easier, but I think it's just that stem is really wooden. Hard enough. Okay. Can you see okay? I just kind of take what I can get here. Yeah. Oh, she's still not giving it up for me though. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. We did it. Here she is. The stem is nowhere near as long as I wanted it to be. You can see, you know, all of this brown stuff. That's like the wooded material. There was no way I was going to get through that with my little knife. And this is the farina damage I'm talking about, but it's fine. It's really not that big of a deal. Honestly, most people would probably not even notice any of the damage from the top of the plant. So this is my empty pot. I'm just gonna air propagate her for a while, assuming this is the right size, and it is, yay. So she's gonna stay that way for probably 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, until I'm happy with her root progress, and then I'll pot it up. And then, sweet baby Jesus, look at this little cupcake. I mean, yes, I kind of fucked up the farina, but oh my god, this was the shy baby who we never got to see. Isn't she beautiful? Now, there could be an argument made that there's not a whole lot of chlorophyll going on here, and I agree, but we've got a huge stem, and I did destroy this leaf, so we'll just take him out. But we've got this huge stem, and even if there were no stem babies on here, it was just a clump of roots with the stem, this should be enough for her to pull through. She'll make more stem babies off of these nodes that you can see here. And that was where I first tried to cut it. And I think my second cut is up here too, somewhere around here. But it's fine. There are a lot of nodes to choose from. I mean, right here, just on one side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nodes just on one side. So there's probably, you know, close to 20 nodes to work with. And actually, can I zoom in a little? Like, does that look like... Get this to focus. It's still not focusing. I'm trying to show that it looks like there's a little activated node already. Whatever. I can't seem to ever figure out how to get these videos to focus when I'm zooming in or out, but that right there kind of looks... I think that's actually just where I cut it. It looks really healthy though, looks really happy. This baby is to die for. Really great variegation. Almost like 50-50, probably more like 40% unvariegated, 60% variegated. Definitely will be stable, will definitely survive. This baby, less stable, but still attached, so I'm not worried about it. The root ball is really, really firm. It's not as dense as I thought it might be. It's been potted for exactly 1 year in this pot. But it was getting, you know, the reason why I did this was not just because I want babies, but for sure I want babies to share and have. But this just needed to happen. Like, this was not an appropriate an appropriate housing for the size of the plant that she had become, plus the 2 stem babies and whatever else she's got going on now. So there had to be a repot, and if there was gonna be a repot, I wanted to do a propagation. And so you have to kind of think about which one you want to do, and mostly for aesthetic purposes, I decided I wanted to cut her before I repotted her. So that's what we've done here. In another month or so, I'll obviously be watching this the whole time, but in another month or so, that's probably when I'm going to start thinking about repotting, maybe even inside of the same pot, but just loosening it up and getting new soil and more places for oxygen to flow through the roots, because the roots do need oxygen to function. But so that was our less than perfect, but still a fun adventure propagation experience. Do you guys have any questions? Have you done this on your own? Was this terrifying? Yeah, the stem babies they're like stupid beautiful. That was probably my main reason why I had to cut her, because they just needed to have their own day in the sun, literally. Oh, they're so pretty. I don't see any other questions. Yeah, it was a little stressful, not gonna lie, but it's fine. If I wanted to too, I could take some leaf props from her now, but I don't feel so inclined. I feel like there's gonna be more stem babies from here and maybe from here, and there's just a lot of propagation going on, so I don't feel like I need to take those away from her. I also kind of learned from all the other stem babies, leaf prop babies. I have 6 of them. I can swivel the camera around and show them to you. I just learned that the leaf props aren't very, I guess I have 8, wow, they're really adding up. They're just not very stable. So there are those 4. Sorry, adjust the camera for you. There are those 4. This is still no bueno. Sorry, I can look this up. Those of you at home with these like camera rigs, you know the struggle is like never ending. Okay, here it is. So I have these 4, and one of them is mostly albino, which is why I removed those white leaves from it, and it looks a little unperfect. So that guy's like not that stable. The 2 on the left, they're variegated for sure, but they're nothing like their mother, you know, they're like just barely variegated. And then the bottom right one has beautiful variegation, but that leaf actually produced a completely albino pup, and then I had to cut the pup off and try again, and the leaf actually produced a second pup for me, which you see now. So that worked out really well. But you can see in the yield, which I probably took 5 or 6 leaves, this is what I'm ending up with. Basically, 1 is viable. And then I'll show you the other babies. This one obviously is like what you hope for, but again, she's not really variegated. She has a stripe. It's a different look. It's not what her mom has. It's not that beautiful painterly kind of mixed look. And then those 2 leaves are out of the second or third batch, whatever I did. There were 4 of them and only 2 have survived. And granted, this was over winter, so they're moving a little slow. They're both of those leaves are pupping, but I'm just not super optimistic now. How old are the leaf props? These ones are, I want to say 8 months old, 9 months old. They're like, you know, they're pretty established. They look pretty big. They're definitely like, you know, bigger than a quarter at this point. The big baby, she's the oldest. I want to say I took her in June or July, and I got the plant in March. So she's maybe a few weeks older than the other 4. but is huge because of all the non-variegated leaves, so she grew very vigorously. And then these ones I took over the winter time. They're maybe, let's call it 3 or 4 months old, those ones. How often I water them is basically when the soil has been dry for a while. The mama, I've been watering really frequently, like maybe once every 2 weeks, just because it's so root bound and there's so little soil and so much plant. So when I start to see her getting a little wrinkly, a little saggy on the lower leaves, I'll water. That seems to have been about every 2-3 weeks over the winter. Sometimes, honestly, even every week. The little babies, the leaf props, I have been doing them. I've probably been watering them every 2 weeks. And then the leaf props that don't have pups yet, I don't water them until they have decent sized roots, and then I plant them in these small pots, and then I'll start watering about once a week. And this bigger baby is about an inch big now. I water every, kind of like the mom, probably every 2-3 weeks. These are wintertime frequencies. It's really more about the appearance of the plant. I am very in tune with the like succulent nature, the plumpness of the leaves. When I start to see the leaves looking softer and getting some texture on the leaf surface and looking like the beginning of wrinkling, that's when I water. So we're talking about propagation methods now. Well, I'm meandering all over the place, but I had done these leaf props. So I have 1, 2, 3 plus the 4. I have 7 leaf props out of probably 10 to a dozen leaves that I took. So really high rate of pupping from the leaves. But the point I was trying to make, probably very unsuccessfully, is that the variegation from the leaf props is like all over the place. It's completely unpredictable. Like this baby you're looking at now came from a half and half leaf, and now she's 75-25. So it's kind of like all over the place. And what that kind of taught me is, compared to these babies, which are just like take my breath away, life-changing, beautiful, I just don't know if I can get that variegation out of a leaf prop. And if someone knows more, please, by all means, pipe in here. But what I've learned from this, or my takeaway, my interpretation of these findings, is that the way to get beautiful props from variegated specimens is to do the stem props. Because the stem props, which are just the two here, these were spontaneous. She just decided to grow those out of her own little hormonal life cycle and whatever it is. But the way you would reproduce that is what I've done here. You chop off the plant. So by chopping off the plant, I'm hoping that it's going to give me better access to the stripy, like that's my aesthetic preference, is I love that stripy variegation look with chunks of variegation, as opposed to what I've gotten out of my leaf props, which have been unstable, completely unvariegated, or completely variegated with very, very difficult to achieve outcomes of that ideal, whereas these two stem babies are both perfect. So that's a really long story of how I've been kind of approaching the propagation for these variegated Graptopetalum Superbums. I think that this is going to be like a huge learning experience for me, which is why I was eager to cut her. And I know it's kind of like blasphemy, how dare you cut her, she's so perfect, but I think that this is such a great way to learn, and I'm hopeful that, you know, I really don't think there's like a chance she's going to die from this. Like, I have enough experience with propagating succulents that wasn't really a risk. So I'm mostly just hopeful that, you know, those two stem babies are going to be stable on their own and produce more, babies, and that this is just going to be a very prolific experience and help inform me how do you get those stable, perfectly variegated, perfectly distributed babies, which has kind of eluded me thus far with the leaf props. Do you guys have any other questions or observations even? Just to repeat for some that weren't here before, the plan is, I'm not going to pick her up, but this is cut now if you didn't see it. I just beheaded her, so this is just a stem inside here, but the plan is that I'm going to let her sit for probably about 3 weeks, just sitting in that pot with no soil in it with a cut stem, and she will start growing roots on her own. And when the roots are pretty substantial and I'm pleased with how they look and everything is looking pink and healthy, then I'll go ahead and pot her up in that pot and give her her first water in that first potting session. The stem babies with the cut stem, I'm going to just continue to care for them as I have. So every two weeks watering, 3 weeks watering, that kind of thing. Since it is springtime now, also that's basically why I'm doing this now, is because one, she needed to be repotted like last fall, and I just went into winter knowing that it was going to be urgent on the other side. And two, the plants are waking up. Plants that grow seasonally in summertime are waking up now, and all of that growth explosion is really going to lend itself to the reproduction and the healing. Just like a child breaking their arm is going to heal so much faster than an adult because they're already growing. That's kind of the logic here. So you don't want to damage your plants when they're dormant because there's not any momentum, there are no resources, it's very taxing, it can be dangerous. In the springtime, when everything is waking up, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to get some growth momentum, assuming these plants are growing in the summer. But even for like crassula, this is not a bad time to propagate them now because they're not dormant yet, but they're getting ready to go dormant. Are these? Yes, thank you. I'm really hoping for more stem babies too. Yes, so I won't water the mother plant until she has roots, like a root chunk. If you look on my profile page, like I have a giveaway post with Echeveria Pearl von Nuremberg, and you can see an example of an Echeveria that I beheaded, which this is a Graptopetalum, but they're gonna have similar growth patterns. But you can see that Echeveria Pearl von Nuremberg that I decapitated and just let grow roots for like 2 months, and it's just like a giant ball of roots chilling in the air. So that's what I'll do here, and then when I'm ready to repot, I'll put her in the pot with soil, cover up those roots, and then I'll do like a super thorough watering that first time, just like if I was repotting anything else. Cashpo. What is cashpo? Are these cashpo or a pot? Yeah, I'm not sure what that term means, but every day I learn new gardening terms. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me. This is definitely an adventure. It is always an adventure in the garden, and I get so many wonderful compliments from this beautiful mama that I am really motivated to get more babies out of her so I can share them. I really have been wanting to do a giveaway and or an auction for the pups because I get asked about them all the time, but I just don't feel that great about giving away plants that don't actually have any variegation. So I'm glad you guys like this. I like it too. I've been really enjoying these live videos. I've done a few of them now. I'm hoping to get these converted into IGTV posts for you, but I just get self-conscious when I go to put them up because they're like 10-15 minutes of me just rambling on, and I see all of this Instagram content where it's like 2.5 minutes long and you learn everything, and it's just like, I'm not there right now. I probably just need to like push myself and get over it and post the 12-minute video of me rambling, but it is fun to share and learn together, both plants and Instagram. Anywho, you guys feel free, especially if you're watching this not live in the stories, like in the 24-hour replay, feel free to send me a DM, or if you have any questions, like hit me up. I'm happy to walk you guys through this because I'm learning as well. And questions are often a good way for me to check my own knowledge and apply what I've learned so far. So it's a good growth experience for me too, bringing you along for the journey. So happy Monday, and hope that you guys are all comfy and with your plants sheltering in place, and we'll be in touch soon, and I'll for sure keep you updated on her. Obviously, you'll know every moment of her progress through my stories, so don't worry about that, and I'll see you on the flip side.